Welcome! In this video, we introduce the topic of facilitating a sprint retrospective. Per the Scrum Guide, the purpose of the sprint retrospective is to plan ways to increase quality and effectiveness. To help to achieve this purpose, the Scrum team inspects how the sprint went with regards to individuals, interactions, processes, tools, and their definition of done. The impactful improvements the team identifies and agrees to address are an important outcome of the sprint retrospective. In this video, we share just one of many ways on how to facilitate an effective sprint retrospective. As a reminder, anyone that the team agrees on or off the team, can facilitate the Scrum events, including the sprint retrospective. To prepare, ensure the retrospective can take place in a room that has a board or enough wall space that the team can use. Ensure there are writing materials for everyone in the team. Think of sticky notes, pens, and different colors of markers. If you facilitate a remote or virtual retrospective, then this can be done in an online collaboration space. Aside from having access to a collaborative space, it is important for team members to have a setting where they feel safe to engage in the conversations that will take place, which is a good opportunity to start the retrospective by reminding them of the Prime Directive. The purpose of the Prime Directive is to ensure that a retrospective has the right environment for a beneficial event so that a team can learn and find improved ways of working. In other words, the Prime Directive sets the scene for a retrospective with the right culture to run a positive and effective event. Next, briefly revisit with the team the improvements the team identified and agreed to in the last sprint retrospective. Has the team addressed these improvements? And if so, what was the impact? Are any outstanding improvement actions still relevant? And if so, what should the team do about them? After the team has revisited the previous improvements, the team can continue the retrospective using a facilitation technique called the perfection game. In a sprint retrospective, the perfection game helps teams to discover their strengths and define effective improvement actions. To do this, the facilitator creates 3 areas that are visible to everyone in the team. In one area, team members individually rate the sprint on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being perfect. No text is added here, just the number that reflects their rating. In another area, team members individually reflect on what they thought the team did well. This helps teams become aware of their strengths. When a team is aware of its strengths, it can focus on how those strengths can benefit them in making impactful improvements in the future. In the third area, team members identify what they can do to improve. The team can decide to individually complete the first 2 areas, discuss them as a group, and then collaboratively identify and add improvement actions in the third area. Or they can decide to first complete all areas individually and then discuss everything together as a group. When there are many items, it is a good practice for the team members to group items with similar messages together. That's a technique also known as affinity mapping. This has 2 advantages. 1, team members are less likely to get lost in too much data. And 2, while team members are grouping the items, they already get an idea what other team members have raised. Now that the 3 areas are complete, give everyone the opportunity to discuss the items. Team members can ask questions and get a shared understanding of improvement actions being suggested. The next step is to decide which improvement actions the team thinks are most impactful and should be addressed as soon as possible. They may even be added to the sprint backlog for the next sprint. One way to do this is to add a short time box to this activity. For example, 3 minutes. Within this time box, team members can vote for what they believe are the most impactful improvements the team should address next. This technique is called dot voting. For dot voting, give each team member the same number of votes. This might be 3 to 5 votes, but the number of votes each team member has should be less than half the number of improvement actions they will need to vote on. Each team member places their dots on the improvement actions they feel will be most impactful. In terms of voting, a team member can decide to place all their given dots on one single improvement action if they feel very strongly about it, or distribute them across multiple actions. When everyone has placed their dots, voting is over and it's time to assess the results. The Scrum team agrees that the top 3 actions with the most votes will be addressed as soon as possible. Dot voting is quick and simple. However, as a facilitator, you may keep an eye on what is known as the bandwagon effect that dot voting can be prone to. This is when people decide to vote on an action item since everyone else did. There are different ways to avoid this. For instance, if you are in a virtual environment or have access to a virtual environment, try anonymous voting, which only reveals the results at the end of the voting session. At the end, be sure to thank everyone for their participation. The perfection game is one of many techniques that can be used to facilitate a sprint retrospective. Remember, the aim of the perfection game is not for a team to become perfect. That is impossible, as Scrum teams should always be looking for opportunities for improvement. However, by asking team members to rate the sprint and actively think about what they could do to increase this rating as a team, the facilitator encourages them to focus on future improvements that will make them a more effective team. Hopefully this video has been helpful, and thank you for watching. We know that one size does not fit all, and there are many other great ways to facilitate an effective and engaging sprint retrospective. And we also know that the opposite can happen, where a retrospective does not go as planned at all. Want to learn more about Scrum facilitation? You can find more information on the Scrum.org website, or you can join a professional Scrum facilitation skills course.